तदेकं स्मरामस्तदेकं भजामः तदेकं जगत्साक्षिरूपं नमामः सदेकं निधानं निरालम्बमीशं भवाम्बोधिपोतं शरण्यं व्रजामः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति Shanti. On that alone do we meditate. That alone do we worship. To that one, the sole witness of the universe, do we bow. To that one who is our sole eternal support, the self-existent Lord, the raft to safety across the ocean of this world, do we come for refuge. Om peace, peace, peace. Good morning. Wonderful to be here. Dear friends, the world seems to be on fire. We see so much war, so much violence in so many places, tremendous cruelty and tremendous suffering. And we can ask, where is peace? When will peace come? All in this world long for peace. Where is it? Swami Vivekananda speaks so poignantly when he says, "What madness, what lunacy are the men of this world engaged in, fighting with and slaughtering one another the whole day long. But how long? How long can this go on? In the evening, all must return to the mother's lap." Means the Divine Mother. We all must return to the Divine Mother's lap. What lunacy we're engaged in, fighting with one another. The Mother is here. The Mother is our home. We are to return to her. What are we doing? So let us strive to return to the Mother's lap. We don't have to wait till the evening to return to the Mother's lap. Her lap is always ready for us. But we have to find her. She's ready for us, but we have to seek her. If we want to bring peace into this world, we have to find it first within ourselves. We have to touch that endless peace which lies at the very root of our being. How are we to do that? So that brings us to our topic today, which is the foundations of meditation, because it is the practice of meditation which is fundamental to our teaching and our practice here at the Vedanta Society and the Ramakrishna movement in general, is this practice of meditation. So what are the foundations of that practice? So this might be somewhat of an introductory talk, but I hope there will be something for everyone in this. Many of you I know are seasoned meditators, have been meditating for a long time. Others perhaps have not been started meditating, but might like to start. Some of us may have been doing it off and on for a little while, so we have different levels of experience. But it's a great reminder to think about what are the foundations of meditation. First, what do we mean when we say meditation? Because a lot of people talk about meditation, and there's a lot of psychological literature, a lot of spiritual literature, a lot of posts on the social media about meditation. What is meditation? Mostly when people talk about meditation in the wider society, they're talking about mindfulness meditation, I think, which is a wonderful practice coming from Buddhism, a kind of insight meditation, influenced by such great teachers as Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Zen Buddhist master. And just to cultivate mindfulness, to watch the breath when thoughts come up, to see them, let them go. And it's a very powerful practice. However, it's not actually what we mean when we are talking about meditation. In the Catholic tradition, they also talk about meditation. There, the meditation means a kind of discursive practice of prayer or deep contemplation over a scriptural passage, which also we don't call meditation. It's a more active thinking and maybe talking with God. And for the Catholics, they call contemplation a deeper form of absorption. What we might call meditation, they would call contemplation. So interesting how the terms got a little bit reversed. We might call contemplation as thinking over something, and meditation as focusing deeply and getting absorbed. When we use the term dhyana, the Sanskrit word dhyana, which is meditation, we are referring to a state of the mind where it becomes completely one-pointed, one focus. They often give the example of a pouring oil from one vessel to another. When we pour water, it breaks up. It's rough. But when we pour oil, it's one single strand or stream of oil flowing. The mind becomes like that, flowing in a single stream towards its object, which, of course, for us would be the divine. Some conception of the divine, a name of the divine, a holy name of God, an image, a holy image. And there's a stage beyond meditation in which there are no thoughts at all, no waves forming in the mind stuff. The mind is completely attenuated. And this is the true state of yoga, in which realization of our true nature arises. It is in this state that what we'd call enlightenment occurs. So that is really the final step. So if we think, well, to meditate, you have to stop all thoughts. Actually, that's the last step. That's the last stage. First, we try to gather our thoughts and focus them on one point so that all the thoughts are gathered and focused singularly. And later, even the thought subsides. Why meditate? Well, I had touched on that in the beginning, to find that peace. Many people meditate just for good health, good physical health, good mental health. Maybe they're religious and it's part of their religious training. They want better concentration for their studies or work. They want to relieve stress. These are all good reasons. But there is another reason to meditate. Because we want to know God. We want to know who or what lies behind this universe. Who or what lies within me. What am I really? When that kind of interest awakens in us, when we start to want to know, then our meditation takes on a different dimension. It starts to take on an urgency, because it's not just for good health and relieving stress. We want to find the infinite, which lies within us. The science of meditation, as developed in our Vedantic tradition, is called Raja Yoga, the king of the yogas, the king of the royal path of meditation. And there are traditionally 8 steps delineated in this path of meditation. And we could see that the first 4 of these are like the foundational things, and the second 4 are the actual practice of what we think of meditation. So I'd like to touch base first, and maybe quite at some length, on these foundations, because the foundations are incredibly important. Sometimes we think, I want to get to meditation. I'm just going to start repeating a mantra and I'm going to meditate. But a building without a foundation will collapse. So similarly, just as meditation is a foundation of spiritual life, there are certain foundations of the meditative life and meditative practice. And it's very interesting that the teachers of yoga, the first 2 of these 8 steps are dedicated to what? Our character development, developing our character, knowing how to live. A life dedicated to developing a life of harmony, a life following the ethical principles that all religions discuss. If we tell lies at work, if we cheat on our income taxes, well, it's not a big deal. But if we really want to develop a spiritual life, if we want to cultivate a meditative life, these things place our minds in a state of disharmony. So they'll disturb our meditation. So we cultivate our character through right action, right speech, and right thought. And I'll just touch on these for a moment. These there are 10. They name 10 particular practices, and I'm sure you've heard about many of these. It's good to remind ourselves. The very first one they start off with is ahimsa. Do no harm. Do no harm. Don't harm others through, of course, physically. Most of us have, I hope, are not harming others with our physically. But how much harm we still cause with our speech. We say an unkind word to a colleague at work, or we lose our temper and scold our kids harshly. So not harming others extends from the physical to the vocal. We are not to harm others even with our speech. Doesn't mean we become a wet blanket. There's the parable of the cobra who was told not to harm others, but he was scolded when he got beat up. I didn't tell you not to hiss. So sometimes a hiss may be necessary, but do no harm. But what about thought? Swami Vivekananda says, and this, when I first read this line, it struck me like a ton of bricks. He says, every vicious thought will rebound. So even a thought in which we harm, if we think of some thought of harming someone, that can rebound on us. So to take the practice of this non-harming to its greatest extent means we're going to try even not to harm others in thought. This brings in a tremendous harmony with our fellow beings. When we have this idea, I will not harm anyone. Even if they're going to harm me, I'm not going to harm. I may have to hiss, but I'm not going to harm anyone. So this is one way we see these practices of character development bring about a certain harmony, inner harmony in our being, which is a foundation for a successful practice of meditation. Truthfulness is another. Most people tell white lies, you know, and it's just a little white lie never hurt anyone. Maybe not, but it may not hurt anyone else. But the truth is, it hurts us because it creates a dichotomy. I'm thinking one thing and I'm saying another. The spiritual life is a unified life, a life of harmony, of single-pointed dedication to our ideal. Asteya, don't steal anything. Okay, we might not be snatching up candy bars from the drugstore like we did as kids, but what about stealing a look at your spouse's emails when they're not at their computer? It's taking something that wasn't given. Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya means moving in Brahman. Every moment, no, we are moving in the divine. And it has also a special meaning for us restraining lust. Striving to master lust, which means for monks, celibacy, at a minimum, perfect fidelity to one's spouse for householders. This is a challenge. Young people today don't like these ideas, I know. But if we really want to dive deep in meditation, this is one of the foundations. Because one of the most powerful forces within us is the drive to procreate and the drive to enjoy other bodies. It's very powerful. That power is to be harnessed, not by frittering it away, harnessing it to take us deep in meditation. The fifth of these first five is restraining the impulse to acquire. That's another big one. In our culture, we're constantly being bombarded. You need this latest gadget. You need this magical tool which will clean your floors or brush your teeth or clean your ears or whatever it will do for you. You need it. Okay, maybe you don't need it. Maybe I don't need it. Restraining, because what happens when we start meditating? What happens? Thoughts arise. What thoughts arise? The thoughts we've been busy with all day. If we've been busy all day thinking about the latest gadgets we want and need, those thoughts are going to come up. If we're busy all day thinking about who we want to harm, those thoughts are going to come up. If we're busy during the rest of the day thinking about God, trying to do our work as service to God, those thoughts are going to come up. There's five more disciplines. I'll just touch on them. Cleanliness, purity. Purity of body helps us also cultivate purity of mind. Contentment. Being content with what we have. This is related to that not wanting to acquire. Cultivating a certain contentment. All right, I don't have everything what do we actually need? We need food, we need a shelter, we need clothing, we need some human companionship. That's about it. As far as really needing. Okay, if we have a family, we need we need schools, we need those kind of things. We need health care. But do we need the latest and greatest electronic toothbrush? Well, probably not. Santosha, contentment. Tapas, heating the higher nature. We need some intensity, some strong desire. We need swadhyaya, self-study. We look at ourselves. We study ourselves. We study the scriptures. We need a little bit of self-reflection. And finally, self-surrender. Surrender to the divine. Ishvara pranidhana. This adds devotion to our practice. This may seem kind of complicated. I've just given 10 different things. Oh my God, 10 things. I got to remember all of them. I got to write them down or what? Try to memorize these, make sure I'm doing all of them. Actually, they all fall into place in a life consecrated to the divine. We might ask ourselves, do we want spiritual life? Do we really want spiritual life? The spiritual life envisioned for us by the saints and sages, by Sri Ramakrishna, is a unified life with all parts of it connected to the divine. In fact, he used to say, even the negative parts. If you get angry, be angry with God. If you feel greed, be greedy for God. Turn everything over to the divine, even our negative emotions, thereby purifying them. So, in a life like this, a life of harmony, a unified life with every part connected to the divine, all our actions consecrated to the divine, daily meditation forms a cornerstone of that life. Daily drinking deep, we can say, at the fountain of immortality, which is flowing deep within us. So perhaps the first step in the first brick of the foundation of meditation is forming the intention. Yes, I want the spiritual life. I want meditation to be a part of that. I want to learn to meditate. I want to dive deep in meditation. I know the gems that are to be found deep within me. I know the value of meditation far surpasses any other goal I have. So these are the foundations we've talked about thus far: developing our character and wanting to meditate, cultivating a desire for an intention to meditate. In fact, the Buddhists, the Mahayana Buddhists, have a beautiful practice of they cultivate their intention to meditate, they cultivate the intention to become a Buddha, to become awakened, not for themselves, but for the benefit of all sentient beings. And they call this cultivating bodhicitta. Bodhicitta means something like the enlightened mind. And what a noble aspiration. I'm not striving for enlightenment just for myself, but for the sake of all. To the extent that I attain spiritual illumination, the more my connection with God, the more I can serve others, the more I can help others, truly help them. Because the greatest help we can give to anyone is spiritual help. So let's talk a little bit about meditation. Regularity is important. Regularity is very helpful. Same time, same place. I can't help but remember the old Batman series. Tune in tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. We're doing the same thing in meditation. Same meditation time, same meditation channel every day. Why? The mind falls into habits and ruts also. If we meditate whenever we feel like it, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the evening, that's not bad. It's good. But very often the mind will say, well, I don't feel like it now. And then before you know it, the day has gone, oh, well, it didn't work out today, maybe tomorrow. So we set an intention to do it every day, same time, same place. It becomes a habit. If we are new to meditation and we're trying to add it as a habit in our lives, my best suggestion would be connect it to some other habit you already have. Maybe that is taking a shower. Whatever your morning routine is, you take a shower in the morning, set an intention. After I take my shower, I'm going to get dressed and sit for meditation. Now, if you're just starting a practice, please don't try to do too much. I would suggest 3 minutes or 5 minutes max at the beginning. Otherwise, the mind, you'll do it for 2. If you say every day after my morning shower, I'm going to meditate for half an hour, the mind will do it for 1 or 2 days, and then you'll say, forget it. 3 minutes. Anyone can do 3 minutes. Start with 3 minutes. Every day after my morning shower, or after I brush my teeth, or after I have my cup of coffee, or connect it to some daily habit you already have, and just add it in. And make it short so it doesn't impact the day too much. After this, I'm going to do that. And then after your meditation, give yourself a little pat on the back. Good job. You did a meditation. Because the mind also responds to that. When you give yourself a pat on the back, it wants that affirmation. So tomorrow, it's going to try for it again. Gradually increase that time when you're ready for that. You'll know. Place. Of course, we want some place that's quiet. Few distractions. Ramakrishna used to say, meditate in a forest. Or if you don't have a forest, meditate in the corner, like a corner of the house. Or and meditate deep within your mind. There's a great value in keeping a separate room for meditation if you have the means to do so. That room turns into a temple and vibrations build up there. Or you can turn a corner of a room into a kind of temple. The vibrations build up there. Simply the act of going into that room or into that corner already starts to put your mind into a meditative mood. Swami Vivekananda suggests, he gives some instructions about this room, if you're going to have a room like that. Do not sleep in that room. It must be kept holy. You must not enter the room until you have bathed and are perfectly clean in body and mind. Place flowers in that room always. They are the best surroundings for a yogi. Also, pictures that are pleasing. Burn incense morning and evening. Have no quarreling, nor anger, nor unholy thought in that room. Only allow those persons to enter it who are of the same thought as you. Then gradually there will be an atmosphere of holiness in the room, so that when you are miserable, sorrowful, doubtful, or your mind is disturbed, the very fact of entering that room will make you calm. So that's a little bit about developing a sacred space of your own. And come here. I think most of you have visited our shrine. If you haven't, please do. It's that round building at the bottom there. What an amazing atmosphere in that shrine. It's a great place to practice meditation. We can take the benefit of that and get a taste, at least, of the peace that is available to us in meditation. And then we strive to touch that peace every day. Now, in the beginning, and even in the middle, maybe not at the end, I don't know yet, it's a struggle. Some days are good, some days are bad. That's okay. The thing is, keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. You have a bad day of meditation doesn't mean that, okay, it's not meant for me, I'm going to skip. Keep at it. Another good day will come. It will come. When it gets really rough, come here. Meditating with other people also can be a great encouragement. Here, there's usually somebody else meditating as well. So that restraint. If we just feel like giving up, then we see, well, they're still sitting. In fact, it was like that here when I was. Perhaps some of you know that I was here for 5 years, from 1997 to 2002, as a novice, and there were some other novices here, and so we'd be sitting together in the shrine in the evening after the evening prayer. And after half an hour, I'd kind of feel like, okay, I want to get up. I guess I'll get up now. And then I'd look over and I'd see another brother still sitting there. I think, he's still sitting. Okay, I'll sit for a little longer. And he was probably doing the same thing. So it was a healthy competition. Who's going to stay a little longer in the shrine? What time of day, whatever time, if you can make time in the day for this, that is wonderful and amazing. Still, it is said that early morning is special. The mind is refreshed from sleep. It hasn't started getting involved in work and all the duties and everything yet. The time of sunrise and sunset are both a time when it is said there's a certain harmony in nature. The time at sunset, nowadays we've lost that harmony because most of us are still at work or it's so busy. But morning, you can still feel that. And it doesn't disturb. If we have family members and they disturb our meditation, we can get up 5 minutes earlier so that we're not disturbing the family. And intent. Whatever time, if it's 3 minutes, okay, I'm going to sit for 3 minutes. That means for 3 minutes, don't do anything else. Your phone rings. Oh, got to check that message. I've seen people come to our temple, in different temples. I've seen them come, and suddenly the phone will go off, and you'll hear rustling and fumbling, and they'll run out. And then as the door is closing behind them, you hear, hello? So if you've come to meditate, turn off the phone. Said you're going to meditate for 10 minutes, turn off the phone. Just resist that temptation. So that's that intention. Okay, another helpful practice is to cultivate a mood for meditation, slightly a devotional mood. So in this, the place of study is very helpful. Reading, not study exactly, rather reading an elevating book. Whatever that book is for you. For me, it might be some of the conversations of one of our great monks like Swami Shivananda or Swami Brahmananda, the conversations they had with their disciples. Very inspiring, very encouraging, that kind of reading. And this devotional mood, this mood of longing, to long for God, is very helpful in meditation. Keeps our mind from sinking. Swami Swahanandaji used to suggest, some of you may still remember him, he was the previous head of the Vedanta Society, left his body in 2012. He used to say, two types of reading one should do every day. He would say one page, just one page of some philosophical reading, keep the mind engaged, deep thinking, and at least one page of devotional or conversational reading, simple conversations recorded in the books. Okay, now we come to a little discussion about, we've just talked about several things that are helpful for our practice of meditation. One is regularity, same time, same place, and intention, setting an intention, and helpful to cultivate a mood, a proper mood before we sit down, if we have time. Some devotional reading or philosophical reading, whatever suits us. Now we're going to talk about the body-mind connection. In Vedanta we often say, and we read Swami Vivekananda reminding us, you are not bodies, we are not our bodies. And then he'll say, you're not your minds. And so we have this thing, I'm not my body, I'm not my mind. That's true. From the highest standpoint, that's very true. But there is a danger here. And at this moment, we are operating through this body. I'm operating through this body. I'm operating through this mind. The danger is to ignore our physical and our mental health. After all, I'm not the body, so why should I take care of it? I ignore it. I'm not the mind, so why should I take care of my mind? So this is not healthy. We need good mental health to meditate. We need at least tolerable physical health to meditate, particularly if we're starting out. Once we get a little bit established in meditation, even if we have illness, we can still meditate. But it's very difficult to take up a practice of meditation if we're ill. Also, we set up a dualism between our body and our mind. The body is one thing and the mind is another, and then I am the spirit, I'm the third thing. But the body and the mind, and for now, that spirit which is us, are all interwoven. And it's very difficult to say, well, one begins here and ends here, and the next one begins here. The body and mind especially we see how much they influence each other. Somebody insults me, and my mind is upset, and I start to sweat, and maybe I start to tremble. I stub my toe, and my mind revolts in anger. A stream of profanity comes out. The mind and body are intimately connected. There's not really a dividing line where you can say body ends here and mind starts here. It's a body-mind. So we are going to take the physical help to calm and center the mind, and use mental techniques to calm and relax the body, and use the body and mind to enter into meditation, which is a way to glimpse that deeper aspect of ourselves, that deeper true self of ours, which is ultimately beyond body and mind. So the first of these body-mind practices is called asana. Probably many of you know the word asana, and we think of different yoga postures. Doesn't mean that in this context. In this context, asana means how to sit. When we talk about meditation, we're talking about sitting and meditating. There is, of course, walking meditation, and the Buddhists have developed that very well. And ultimately, one should be able to meditate doing whatever we're doing. But at the beginning, we sit. We don't lie down because most surely we will fall asleep. And if we're standing up, we're a little too active. We want a posture which is stable, which is, so we sit. How do we sit? The posture we take is very important, and I think we neglect this a lot both in our practice and in our teaching about meditation. It's actually very important, so important that the teachers of yoga decided to dedicate a whole limb of the 8 limbs. One of the 8 steps of yoga is this, how to sit. And our posture must reflect the attitude of mind we are cultivating, which is at once awake and focused, and yet at the same time relaxed and calm. So it's almost a paradox. There's a slight tension there between, on the one hand, being fully awake, being fully aware, concentrating deeply, and yet not being stressed, being relaxed, letting go. So our posture also needs to reflect that. The first teaching is the spine, neck, head, straight line. This is not possible if we're leaning back in the sofa comfortably. The best position for meditation is an unsupported back. Those of us who don't have back injuries or back problems sit with an unsupported back. That reflects it expresses that sense of awakeness and alertness. I'm not slouching back, I'm sitting up straight. And so when sitting in a chair, it's best to scoot forward a little on the chair so that we're not sitting fully on the chair, we're sitting on the front third or front half of the chair with our feet firmly on the floor and our hands in our lap. And we just do a little scan and see that, yes, my head, my neck, my spine is straight line. I'm relaxed and yet it's firm. It's not, I'm not wavering, I'm not feeling uncomfortable, I'm feeling steady, light, relaxed. And the idea is that we develop a comfortable posture in which we can sit for some time without moving and without feeling discomfort. And this actually takes some time to develop. Many of us prefer to sit on the floor. It's a very stable place to sit. In deeper meditation, sometimes one starts to lose a little bit the sense of one's body. Where is my body? And that if one's sitting in a chair, one may feel a little bit uncertain. So a chair with arms might be useful in that case. But sitting on the floor is very stable and beautiful if you can manage it. In that case, a cushion under the hips helps a lot to stabilize the posture. And the idea is that when we first start, we get a lot of distractions. Knee starts hurting, and then so we adjust it a little, and then the nose starts itching. Oh my God, my nose is itching. I got to scratch it. Okay, scratch it. As the body is restless, the mind remains restless. So it's a discipline at first to keep this unmoving posture. And when the nose itches, let it itch and just breathe, and it will pass. It will pass. If it doesn't pass after if it's too much, scratch it. But it will pass if we don't. And because it's the mind trying to distract us. It's the mind trying to say, oh, you really want to meditate? But what about that nose? What about that? What about that candy sitting in the fridge? What about this? What about that? So this asana is important. And gradually we learn to be able to sit for quite a long time without moving. And that's wonderful when that feeling starts to come. We gradually are able to forget the body. So it's worth the struggle. And the asana, the position we take, becomes associated immediately in our minds with meditation. So the moment I sit on the chair and fold my hand to my lap, already I'm reminded, oh yes, this is the posture for meditation. I'm awake. I am alert. I am also relaxed. And then we take the next step. So Vivekananda describes this asana like this. He says, firmness of seat means that you do not feel the body at all. In the ordinary way, you will find that as soon as you sit for a few minutes, all sorts of disturbances come to the body. But when you have got beyond the idea of a concrete body, you will lose all sense of the body. You will feel neither pleasure nor pain. And when you take your body up again, it will feel so rested. When you have succeeded in conquering the body and keeping it firm, your practice will remain firm. But while you are disturbed by the body, your nerves become disturbed, and you cannot concentrate the mind. So Vivekananda even gives us a beautiful suggestion, a kind of a body scan. And there's only one place in his teachings I've found this described, but it's in the short version of Raja Yoga, where he describes it like this. Begin with your toes and think of each part of your body as perfect. Picture it so in your mind. Pass upward bit by bit until you reach the head, thinking of each as perfect, lacking nothing. Then think of the whole as perfect, an instrument given to you by God to enable you to attain truth, the vessel in which you are to cross the ocean and reach the shores of eternal truth. So he suggests after we take this, our meditation posture, we do a kind of a scan and feel that our whole body is perfect, though it may not be perfect, but we imagine it, we envision it as perfect, because it is the perfect instrument through which we are going to realize the divine, through which we are going to cross the ocean of this world and attain infinite joy and peace. So this is a little bit about this foundation of meditation called asana, a firm seat, how to sit in meditation. Now for the next foundation, there's a nice story. There was once a minister to a great king, and he fell into disgrace with the king. And as a punishment, the king ordered him shut up in a high tower, top of a very high tower, and the minister was locked up there and left to die. But he had a faithful wife who came at night and asked, well, how could she help him? And so he told her, okay, come again tomorrow and bring these 5 things. Bring a beetle, bring some honey, bring some silk thread, bring some twine, and bring some heavy rope. So she did as told, but she was wondering, what is she bringing these things for? So she comes the next night with the ingredients, and he said, okay, tie that silk thread to the beetle and put a little drop of honey on its horns and point it up so that it's pointing up the tower, and let it go. And the beetle, smelling the honey, keeps walking and walking and walking till it gets up to the top of the tower. And of course, then the minister said, now tie the twine to the thread. And he pulls up the twine. He says, now tie the rope to the twine. And he pulls up the rope. And then he's got the rope and he can get down from the tower. So Swami Vivekananda says, in this body of ours, the breath motion is the silken thread. By laying hold of and learning to control it, we grasp the pack thread of the nerve currents, and from these the stout twine of our thoughts, and lastly the rope of prana, controlling which we reach freedom. Breath is a unique bodily function. It's the only function in our body which is both automatic and we can consciously control it. Yogis, of course, can control their heartbeat, but our heartbeat, for most of us, it goes on without our knowledge. And our digestion, there's not much I can do to change my digestion. It goes by itself. Breath also goes by itself if I don't pay attention to it, but I can consciously choose how I breathe. Controlled by both the involuntary autonomic nervous system and the voluntary somatic nervous system. So it is a bridge between the conscious and the unconscious, between body and mind. So Swami Vivekananda instructs us, this first lesson is to breathe in a measured way. The first lesson in breathing is just breathe in a measured way, in and out. course, we follow the diaphragmatic breathing. We breathe from the diaphragm. So we're not expanding the chest, we're breathing from the stomach. The stomach expands and draws as the diaphragm pushes down and draws the air into the lungs. So it's the engine of the breath is actually down here. And then he suggests, when you have practiced this for some time, you will do well to join to it the repetition of some word, as Om, or any other sacred word. Let the word flow in and out with the breath, rhythmically, harmoniously, and you will find the whole body is becoming rhythmical. So this science, how to breathe. Yes, we need to pay attention to how we breathe when we meditate. It's a tremendous help to pay attention to that breath, to start our meditation with this rhythmic breathing, adding a holy word to that breath, and by this bringing harmony to our body-mind system. And Vivekananda continues, the science of breathing is the working through the body to reach the mind. In this way, we get control of the body, and then we begin to feel the finer working of the body, the finer and more interior, and so on, till we reach the mind. So this is a little bit about the foundations of meditation that I wanted to introduce today, discuss today. We talked about character, developing our character, moving towards harmony, moving towards, if those of you are familiar with the gunas of the Vedanta philosophy, moving from tamas to rajas to sattva, moving from darkness to restlessness to peace and light, towards more compassion, towards less selfishness. This is the character development we discussed. And then regularity, practicing every day. It's more important to practice every day for 3 minutes than to practice once a week for an hour. Then, how to sit, that firmness, consciously, with awareness, and yet relaxed. And feel that our body is an instrument, perfect, pure, light. And then breath, breathing. With this is the fourth step, the fourth limb of yoga. It's called pranayama, restraining the prana, for which the prana actually means our nerve currents, our energy. And the visible manifestation of that is the breath. So we start with regulating our breathing, rhythmic breathing. So that brings us almost to the end of our hour. And I think I'll just give a little hint. Maybe we can talk about some of these things the next time. Where do we meditate? I mean, we've already talked about a place, but where within us? And for most people, it is recommended to meditate in the heart, to focus our attention in the heart. So Vivekananda's next instruction is, after these, is send a current of holy thought to all creation. Pray for everyone. May all beings be happy. Let all beings be peaceful. Let all beings be blissful. In the 6 directions, send that current to the north, to the east, to the south, to the west, above and below. Send out a current of holy thought to all. What does this do? This opens our heart. This opens our heart and helps us feel for others, unleashes the compassion that lies within us. And he points out, the more you do that, the better you will feel yourself. So there's that too. And then he suggests to pray for illumination. I meditate on the glory of that being who created this universe. May he illuminate my mind. And then I think most of you know that many of us who are regular meditators, we have received spiritual initiation from a teacher. And in that process, we receive a mantra and some specific instructions. And those instructions always take precedence over anything I have said today. Uh, always follow one's teacher's instructions if you have received initiation. But it's something to know about also, because that mantra, that holy word, is a tremendous help in initiation, in spiritual life, both for meditation and because it connects us to a lineage in which spiritual power is flowing. That spiritual power which flows through the lineage, we step into that flow when we receive initiation. So that's just something to consider. Finally, I may just mention, because we all face, there's two major obstacles that most of us face on a regular basis for meditation. One is restlessness, the mind just doesn't stop. And the other is sleep, the mind goes into torpor. So these are normal, and there are tools for dealing with this. In very briefly, for the restless mind, it takes practice, 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 repeatedly bringing the mind back to the focus of meditation when it wanders off, at the same time, without beating ourselves up, at the same time, cultivating detachment. Cultivating detachment. That's a whole lecture topic in itself, but that's the essential part of it. Now, sleep. Sleep is very sneaky because it creeps up on us. We're meditating, and I've seen people who they sit down to meditate, and within a minute they're snoring, literally snoring. And at the end of the hour, they get up and feel refreshed and say, "Yes, see, meditation refreshes you. I feel so refreshed." They had a good nap, but it wasn't meditation. So the first thing about sleep is to be aware of it. Notice when it's happening. If the head starts to nod and you feel you're straightening up, that's a sure sign that you're sleepy. Interrupt it. Intervene. How? Open your eyes. Breathe. Stand up if you have to. Start praying. Pray intensely. Go to the bathroom and wash your face with cold water. Go back, come back and sit down. To interrupt that descent into sleep, because we want to avoid making it a habit. Otherwise, it becomes a habit. My morning nap. I sit on my meditation chair and have my morning nap. We don't want that. So that's why it's very important to notice it and intervene and not let it become a habit. One thing to look at in that regard is, ask yourself, are we getting enough sleep at night? For advanced meditators, they can meditate on 4 hours of sleep. When we start out, it's not going to work. And finally, there's one non-scriptural tradition. However, it is permitted by our Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi. That is to take a cup of tea or maybe coffee before we meditate. So I think I thank you for giving me the opportunity to review for myself what the foundations of meditation are and to share my thoughts with you. And I hope that you all can taste the peace and joy of meditation and feel that, understand, start to intuit, not only from a mental perspective, but really feel in our heart that yes, there is a core in me that is divine, that is infinite peace, that is infinite joy, and let me return there. Let me taste it every day. Let us long for that. Let us cultivate our longing to know the divine, to know our true self, to know that infinite reservoir of peace and bliss that lies within us and within everything and within everyone. That longing is like a fire. We have to protect it when it's small from the wind, like a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout building a campfire. When the wind is blowing, you protect it carefully and you put the dry twigs and you fan it carefully. Once it becomes a raging fire, it warms everyone and it takes us to the goal. Thank you. I'll close with a chant. Om Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Kayena vacha manasendrirva buddhyatmana va prakrite swabhavat karomi yadyat sakalam parasmai narayanayeti samarpayami narayanayeti samarpayami. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thou art my mother, my father, thou. Thou art my friend, my companion, thou. Thou art my knowledge, my wealth, thou. Thou art my all in all, O God of gods. Whatever we do through our body, speech, mind, senses, intellect, soul, or even unconscious natural impulses, all that we dedicate as an offering to the Supreme Lord. Om, peace, peace, peace.